Howdy do Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 216.
Yeah.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Because nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy do Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you all managed to do something. Doctor Who related.
Yeah, man, yeah. Just think we should get Cushion in that intro. We've got all the doc. We should get Peter Cushion in that intro. Squeeze another one in. Just make it a half-hour intro.
We'd also need the guy that played Hartnell then in the Five Doctors.
Oh, yes, yeah.
We'd also need the guy that played Doctor Who in the theatre back in the 80s, was it?
Oh, yeah. Completely forgotten his name. Yeah.
Yes, him.
I'm trying to think of quotes now. So Cushion we could have back in the cell.
Yeah.
Who's the other one you just said?
I can't remember his name, but there was a Doctor Who run at the theatre, wasn't there, back in, I'm sure it was the 80s or somewhere like that. And
that's right.
Because there was the big discussion that you and I always have about the TARDIS prop in the Who shop. They reckon it's from...
Oh, the Cushion movies.
They reckon it's from there.
Yeah.
Don't they? But someone has said that actually it looks like the prop they used in the stage show.
Oh, right. Okay.
So there's a bit of... I'm sure it is from the Cushion. I'm not doubting that, but there is some discussion around that.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I always have a look at that TARDIS when I go in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone that doesn't know, in London there's a shop simply called The Who Shop. And it's the name suggests, you toddle in there and it's jammed packed full of Doctor Who merchandise. And it's a really cool place, actually. Really, I haven't been there in a while. I went through a phase of going there.
I was just going to say, you were in there every week pretty much not that long ago.
I think I'm going there at the weekend.
Are you?
I think so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The missus said, we haven't been into London for a while. Do you fancy a trip?
Nice.
Go on then. It's very cool. They've got a mix of sort of the latest merch that the BBC puts out. They buy all that stuff in. Plus, they've got a bunch of really old classic collectibles and books and all sorts. And they got a little museum there. And
I love the little museum. Cool. On the wall, as you leave the museum, they've got like thousands of photos. And the people who own the shop have met just about everybody to do with Doctor Who you could ever imagine. From the beginning of time. And it is just, I tell you, I could just stand and stare at that wall of photos for hours as everybody from Doctor Who is on there. It's incredible.
It's very cool. They've got their own range of T-shirts as well.
Yeah.
So they've got a wall that's basically just T-shirts, and there's stuff that they print there themselves that you won't find. Not the unofficial Doctor Who T-shirts, basically, but some of them are very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place. So, I think you're due a visit, I think.
Yeah, I just like having a look through everything. It just feels like, it's one of those places where every time you go in there, you feel like you're going in there for the first time.
Like,
there's loads to see. They've always got there's stuff in there that's been in there for sale for donkey's years, but they haven't shifted. There's stuff that's still there that, but they also get other bits in as well. Just little nuggets of stuff when you think, I haven't seen that before.
I do love it. I haven't been there for a couple of months at least because it's slightly out of it. It's in London, but it's like right on the outskirts of London, isn't it? Is it Upton Park or
that's it? Yeah,
somewhere near there. And it's so it's a bit out the way. Because that's the thing. It's to me, it's a bit like a treat. Like Forbidden Planet. Every time I go to London, I always go there because it's right in the centre of London. It's so easy to get to. The Who Shop, it's kind of way out of the way. So it's like if I know I'm going to go there, it's like a treat. It's like, I think I'm going to actually take the tube to the Who Shop this time. And it is cool. I could spend hours just looking around there.
Yeah, no, I read you. It's out of the way. I think it's so from central London. It's probably 20 minutes, half an hour on the tube out towards.
Oh, it is
Upton Park. Yeah. The only reason that I frequent it or did quite a lot is because my wife, she's an East End girl, so when we go into London, she likes to go up that way or out that way. So we're sort of in that area already. But if that wasn't the case, it'd probably be like you, mate. I'd just go up there every now and then. But
there's another reason I'm avoiding it as well, because I dropped and smashed my Robert Harrop Tetrap figure, which I was distraught about because I blimmin' love that figure. I think they've got one in there, and I was thinking I'm going to replace him. Next time I go to the shop, I'm going to get one of the Tetra. I'm just going to replace him because I've glued him back together, but it doesn't look great, to be honest. So I'm thinking, so I can't. Yeah, I know I won't be able to go to the shop and resist not buying a replacement Tetrap. So I'm kind of like scared to go in there because of that, because I suspect it'll be about 80 or 90 quid in there. So yeah, that's the other reason I've not been going that way recently.
Gotta watch the wallet.
My willpower. Yeah, I've got to watch the old wallet. Yes.
Yeah, I know your willpower.
Yeah.
For God's sake. For the last couple of months, myself and Adam have had conversations around the Series 11 box set.
Yeah.
And every time we've spoken about it, we've both been on the same page where it's like, nah, I'm not going to pre-order it. It's, it's no biggie. Just when it comes out later on, a bit cheaper, I'll pick it up. What do I see on Twitter yesterday or the day before? Adam out bloody hunting for it.
Yeah, I'm going to blame Adam the Ultimate Whovian for this. My good friend, I met up with him and another friend, and we went around the shops, and we couldn't find it anywhere. Actually, we just wanted to have a look at it, see what the packaging was like and stuff. We couldn't find it anywhere. HMV didn't have it. Went to the supermarkets, nobody had it. And then there's a pub that we go to right next to Sainsbury's. So we go into Sainsbury's, and they've got one on the shelf, just no DVD, nothing in the jar, just one up on the thing, and it's got that what's that word I can never say? Lenticular cover. Lenticular cover. Yeah, it's got that on it, and I was like, ooh, shiny cover, ooh, and so I bought it.
Like a bloody magpie.
Magpie. Yeah. Well, I think it was I kind of got it in the back of my head from the word go, actually, because I cancelled the Steelbook because of the price. I was like, no, I'm not getting that Steelbook. It's 50 quid. I thought, so I might just get the standard package, I might just get the standard one because I've cancelled the Steelbook. So I'll have a look at it and see if it looks good, and I might get that instead, because to be fair, it's a lot less money than Steelbook, and the packaging on it is awesome.
It does look nice. Yeah, it does.
They've really, I was going to say, take away your thoughts of Series 11. They've done a great job on the actual set, the way it looks. And and my willpower being absolutely zero, I bought it. I was looking at it yesterday, actually. I mean, the set, not the show itself. And I kind of don't regret buying it. I know I'm going to see it cheaper down the line, but because HMV is closing as well, which I'm so gutted that we're losing HMV.
Sad, isn't it? Yeah.
I was sort of thinking, where are we going to be able to buy these things now, apart from online? Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, yeah, it'll probably come down in price, but I'll have to buy it online and stuff. And I do like picking box sets up in shops, because otherwise they tend to arrive dented when I order them. Well, you know my luck with the post. So I was sort of justifying it in my head. I was like, I'm not going to be able to find it in a shop because HMV's not stocking it. They're closing down. And and it's in front of me now, so I'm just going to buy it. And I've got to say, mate, the set looks really nice. They've done a great job with it, but I haven't watched any of the episodes yet. I haven't even taken a disc out of it yet. And also, I've got to laugh at on the back, it says in big letters, over an hour of extra features. And I was like, over an hour? You used to do like a whole disc of about 5 hours, but over an hour, like that's a treat. But yeah, there's not a lot of extra stuff on it.
Oh dear.
No deleted scenes, nothing, which is very disappointing. So the set looks nice, but content-wise, probably not that great.
Yeah, I'm still gonna I'll pick it up in, I don't know.
We were joking when we were looking around the shops. We were like, well, they haven't got it. No one's stocking it. And then Ad was like, I wonder if CEX will have it. Like someone's already put it into CEX. It's the only place you can find it on day of release. Yeah.
It's sad about HMV. I know what you mean. It's nice to be able to
gutted about that.
Yeah, a look around. I don't know, mate. It's a sad time to the high street in the UK in general. I mean, I think in 100 years' time, when we're all past and the next generation are doing their thing, there probably won't be high streets. There'll just be one huge, massive Amazon warehouse in place of the town centre, and you just go in there and do whatever. It'd be a Kablam situation. There'll just be one huge website. I keep saying that. There'll be a huge warehouse somewhere, and you go in there and you can have a look, and glorified Argos.
Yeah, it probably will. It is sad because, I mean, things like, like the season 18 box set that's coming out, which I can't wait for that. And those sets are so nice. HMV had the season 19 set, but they won't get the season 18. They'll probably be closed by the time that comes out. And that's the sort of thing I always feel anxious about ordering online, because it's so easy for it to get little dents in it, or a lot of people had it arrive ripped inside where the case that holds the Blu-rays is too heavy when it's moving around in transit, so it actually rips the sort of 4 little stickers at the back, if you see what I mean. It rips the actual packaging, and a lot of people had that problem. And I was thinking that those sort of things make me anxious about ordering online. I'd much rather go into HMV and just find one on the shelf, take a quick look, looks good, and buy it. You know what I mean? So I am really sad we're losing HMV. I used to work for HMV, and I'll tell you, it's one of the happiest. You know me, you know how much I love my physical Blu-rays and CDs. I've never been happier than when I was surrounded by them, working in that environment. One of the happiest times of my life was working at HMV. So I'm gutted that they're closing. I mean, there's still hope. I was working there when they closed last time, and they just at the 11th hour managed to get saved. So there's a small chance it could happen again. I really hope it does, but it doesn't. I don't know. I think they were lucky last time. I don't know if it'll happen again.
No, I think they're fighting a bit of a losing battle, mate, to be honest with you.
I know.
It's just, it's just a shame, because a lot of stuff is now, it's going the same way with video games now. We're shifting slowly towards digital as opposed to physical copies. The same with, most things. I mean, I think there is still a need for physical media. I think that's still the case. It's just how you get it. People are just more comfortable. I mean, this is a common knowledge anyway, but, people are just more comfortable to sit there with a computer or an app, whatever, and just bing, bosh, bosh, bosh. That's everything coming tomorrow. Don't have to leave the house. Lovely.
Yeah.
It's just too easy. It's too convenient and easy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the thing. I have quite a lot of problems with my things arriving damaged. Like I had the Series 11 soundtrack. I've had a lot of stuff recently just arrive damaged. So I've been cancelling all my subscriptions for magazines and stuff recently, because they just arrive folded in half, and I'd rather just buy them on the shelf. So yeah, I kind of had enough at the weekend of another magazine, Doctor Who, when the little comic arrived folded in half, and I was like, all right, that's it. I cancelled the subscription. I'm just going to get it in store. I had the Series 11 soundtrack turn up. I ordered the sort of digipack. Got a big ding right in the middle of because it's like a soft, digipack cover. Got a ding in the middle of the cover. I opened it up. One of the little claws that holds the CD in the plastic case is broken inside. I was just like, it's just everything I order online just smash. So that's what I'm getting at, is I'm trying to really minimize everything I order through the post, because I'd rather just get it in the shop and know that I've actually got, one that isn't broken, because I can't be bothered to send it back or complain. It's just like, it's not enough to warrant sending back. It's just a little annoying things like that. Do you know what I mean? Talking to Serious Leather soundtrack, have you been listening to it?
I have, mate. Yeah, I've gone through it a few times now. It's it's a very relaxing soundtrack.
I was going to say, because a few people have said, "Oh, it's really boring," and I would say I think as a background music, it's brilliant. Like I had it on when I was faffing around the house doing little bits the other day, and it was brilliant because it's sort of quite calming. And then there'll be a sort of bit where it picks up, and you sort of feel all motivated, like I was on the computer tapping away as if I was in some film. And it's da-da-da-da. I was like, yeah, here we go, let's get this done. So I think as background music, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Actually, I love it in that sense. If you're actually just sat down listening to it as music, as pieces, it's a bit samey, isn't it? It's not like Murray's soundtracks where you'll sit down and think there's like themes and bits that jump out at you and you think, oh, that's a nice piece, and this is very different. And I like it, but I can see why people, if they just sat there listening to it, not doing anything, why they might get bored after about 10 minutes.
Yes,
because it is sort of on one pace a lot of the time.
I know, Rija, a lot of people have said that. It's because of I work from home, I have music on obviously all the time, and it's normally soundtracks that I listen to. And no word of a lie, I've probably listened to a piece of Doctor Who soundtrack every single day for as long as I can remember. It's sort of, I either put it on, all of the series 1 through to whatever, or it's just a track will come up as a playlist that, Spotify has worked up for me. And I still listen to Murray's music every day. I still listen to it, but Segan's music, it's really nice just to have in the, I think that's the key thing, you nailed it there. It's just in the background while you're doing something, it's great. But I think if you were to sit there to explicitly listen to something with headphones on, then it's probably worth doing that when you're in bed, sort of drifting off sort of thing. But it definitely has a purpose though. It definitely serves its purpose in terms of those stories in the series.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It slightly annoys me that they're out of sequence as well. I know why they do that, to make the sort of music flow better, I suppose. But it sort of goes from a Kablam track to, suddenly back to the Punjab track, and then back to, they're not in order of the episode. So it's kind of like there's a Rosa track near the end and stuff. And I'm thinking, part of me wants to re-sync it and put it into episode order, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, the bass on the theme tune sounds fantastic through headphones. That boom, boom, boom. Oh, when I first I put my headphones on, first press play, I was like, oh, this sounds fantastic.
It does sound awesome.
Yeah. And it can be quite motivating. I was listening to it on the bus yesterday, heading off on the bus, and it does make you feel like you're in a film. Like you sort of sat there just sort of looking, taking in the surroundings, and you got ding, 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 ding. You do suddenly feel like you stepped into a movie. It's pretty cool in that sense.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Did you buy the physical format? Or did you just download it, or Spotify? You listening to it on Spotify?
Listening on Spotify.
Yeah, I thought you might be. Yeah, I think a lot of people were. Yeah.
Yeah, I will pick it up. I will do, but for now, everything's on there. So. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Booked a ticket as you did for the Logopolis showing at the BFI.
Yeah, bagged my ticket. Yeah,
that's going to be an amazing one.
I'm looking forward to that. There's no guests announced for this one because normally they have a few guests, don't they? Like we had Matthew Waterhouse and Eric Sayward at the last one, but there's no guests at this one, which won't bother me too much because they do tend to go on quite long anyway, don't they? So if we don't get any guests, then fine. It'll still be a great day. I'm just looking forward to the meet up and seeing Logopolis on the big screen. But if we did get a couple of guests, I'd love to be there.
Who's that?
Janet Fielding.
Oh, Janet Fielding, yeah.
Because it's Janet Fielding, because it's her first story, isn't it? And I would just think she'd be fantastic on stage, talking to those guys that do the interviews. I don't think it'll happen, but wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be very cool.
Yeah.
Very
cool. I think the fact that they normally tell us in advance if there's going to be guests. So I think the fact there isn't any probably means there won't be, but maybe they'll drag Frank Skinner up on stage again like they normally do.
Yeah, he's a good one when you've got
He's normally good.
He's normally all of these. It's only, I'll say only, it's a 4-parter, isn't it, Logopolis? It's not a 6.
It's a 4-parter,
yeah. Yeah, so it's not too bad. Your bum sort of gets a little bit numb when you have to sit through the 6 parters, but no, this will be too bad.
I wonder if it'd be nice if Tom did a little message, like the last time, it was when we went to see Genesis of the Daleks at the BFI. Tom did a specially recorded message before and after, didn't he? Which was brilliant. Such a nice little exclusive thing from him. It'd be nice if they did that again, but we don't know.
Who knows?
We don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Found this cool book the other day.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we were quite big fans, or relatively big fans, of The Witch Finders.
Yeah, it was one of the better ones, yeah.
Is it The Witch Finders from Series 11?
Yeah.
So there's this really cool book called The Witch Hunters, or just Doctor Who Witch Hunters, which is part of the history collection. It's a Hartnell story. And about 2/3 of the way through it, and it's a belter of a story, mate.
I was just looking up on my shelf to see if I got it now. Oh, cool. Where'd you find that then?
Yeah, it's a belter. So I was doing some research for a couple of weeks ago for an article that I put out on the website, which was 5 ways to get through no new Doctor Who. So I've gone through like a load of stuff to get into, like, you know, Big Finish and conventions and all that stuff. And I've put a section on there about books. And when I was researching it, I just was trying to find books that I have read that I could recommend, plus a load of stories that I haven't read that people rate quite highly. And I came across this one called Witch Hunters, and it's essentially set around a similar time to that story, The Witchfinder. So it's in the Salem witch trial sort of era.
Oh, okay.
But I tell you what, buddy, it's a cracker of a story.
And it's a First Doctor story?
First Doctor story, yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's called Doctor Who, The Witch Hunters, part of the history collection. It's only £7 or something, paperback. But it's written in like the author, Steve Lyons, or Leons. He writes Hartnell really, really well. So, you know, there are some books that you read when as you're reading somebody's dialogue, you can hear a character in your head talking through that dialogue. You can absolutely hear Hartnell in your head as you're reading through it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and it's sort of dark in a few places and it's a bit creepy and stuff. So any fans that liked The Witch Finders from Series 11, definitely check this story out. It's really, really good.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm just looking on my shelf. I'm sure I've got that somewhere. I can't remember now. Got so many books. I'll tell you the one I'm looking forward to is which must be coming out in the next couple of weeks, is the Tom Baker book, Scratchman.
Oh, Scratchman,
yeah. That unfinished Doctor Who story that he's completed with James Goss. And that's one I'm looking forward to.
Yes.
That must be coming out soon. I keep seeing it sort of popping up on various platforms, so it must be due very soon.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Righto, we crack through news and merch. But we have no news this week.
There's no news. There's no news.
There's no news. It's weird because normally you'd expect some news to roll on for a little while into the new year before it dries up, but already the tumbleweed is.
This could be for a while, couldn't it? I mean, I don't know when they start filming Series 12, but I imagine we may be short of news for some weeks to come. I don't know.
Yeah, not sure. But we do have a couple of bits that our miserable metal friend has brought in, so let's have a look.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Vinyl records.
We like a bit of vinyl, don't we?
We do like a bit of vinyl.
Yeah.
New one coming out. Or is out. Or is coming out.
February there's something or other it's out.
Oh,
February. Can't remember it's soon. Yeah.
The Daleks Master Plan is due out in a new style of vinyl, because so far the Doctor Who vinyl that you would have seen in shops would have either been a Big Finish release or one of the reissued classic vinyls from yesteryear. They were very popular on Record Store Day, do you remember?
That's it, yeah.
Those old ones. But there's a new company called Demon Music Group, and they've kicked off a new series of Doctor Who releases as part of their, Vinyl Who collection, which I assume this is the first of potentially many to come. So they've had good success with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the League of Gentlemen releases. So this one is the Hartnell story, which was one of the lost stories?
Daleks Master Plan. Yeah, I think most of it's lost. Yeah,
it's not there, is it? So it's essentially it's like the talking story, if you like, if that's the best way to describe it. Would you say?
Yeah.
So this is written obviously by Terry Nation. It's an old Dalek story. Dennis Spooner, and let's have a look. It's got the cast is Peter Purvis, Stephen, Nicholas Courtney.
Yes,
which is cool. Kevin Stoney, Sarah Kingdom, Peter Butterworth as the meddling monk. It's basically it's almost like a Big Finish, isn't it? But it's not quite. It's hard to explain. It's like a story with a cast, but it's not quite as in depth as a Big Finish story, I would say.
I always wanted to wish this existed because I'd love to see the meddling monk pop up again. I think he's only in one episode or something. I can't remember now, but yeah, I was always intrigued by that. The fact he does pop up in this because it's quite a mammoth story, isn't it?
It's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mammoth story reflects in the mammoth price.
Yes, it does.
So if you want one of these, you're going to have to cough up £100. £100 for the vinyl. Now, it comes in 2 different versions. Strangely, both are the same price.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah. So you've got the Daleks Master Plan, which is the collector's edition. It's labelled as, and that comes with like the semi-transparent, the translucent vinyl with like this dark blue, navy sort of colour, which is quite nice. But then they've got the Daleks Master Plan exclusive edition, limited edition set. And that comes in a very striking, the vinyl's a very bright orange colour.
That looks nice, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So it's still the translucent version, but it's sort of a bright orange. Both are the same price on Amazon. I'm looking at the moment, $99.99, out in the middle of February. The cover is gorgeous. I will say that.
It's beautiful. Yeah, who's done that? I'd love to know who's done that artwork because it is. I absolutely love that style, and I've seen that style before, but I can't think where. But it's I really love the artwork.
It looks awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So vinyl's kind of a weird one because it's not like the Big Finish releases where they, especially the box sets, they look lovely on the shelf. Vinyl, when you put that on the shelf, you don't really see it. So it's a bit of a strange one. These are not really sort of, what's the word to use the phrase? They're not sort of bragging rights for the shelf, so to speak, because unless you display it front onwards somehow, I'm not sure. But when you just have a row of vinyl, the spine's very, very thin. So this is not one for bragging rights on the shelf because nobody would notice it walking past the shelf. But you'd have to really love Doctor Who vinyl and the story to pick this one up, I would say, especially for £100.
Yeah, it's a shame about the price, isn't it? Because I'll tell you, I'd love to get the collector's edition or whatever it's called with the fiery red vinyl. I mean, that looks beautiful. And the cover's just absolutely stunning. The artwork. I would love this, actually. But I can't quite justify £100 for that, unfortunately. How many vinyls is it? It's quite a lot, isn't it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think, if I'm counting correctly. Can't quite tell from this picture. So you get a fair few vinyls, but I'm just wondering as well because they just found those new soundtracks, didn't they? Which where they said, "Oh gosh, the audio quality is much better than we've ever had before."
That's true.
And I was thinking, it's obviously. I bet this just missed the mark. This will be the whatever they had before, won't it? It can't possibly be those new recordings they found because they've only just found them. This would have been
recent. Yeah.
They couldn't have even remastered them yet, so that's a bit of a shame. But I'm intrigued to see what the forthcoming releases are as well. If this is the first of a few, I'm guessing they're all going to be. I don't know. They might not all be that price though, because I guess this is expensive because it's so many vinyls.
Yeah,
maybe. And if they've got that same similar artwork, so definitely going to keep an eye and see what else gets released.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them is exclusive to Amazon as well. See, comes back to what I was saying before. Got to order it from those guys. Ooh.
Yeah, I know, mate.
Anyway, to other things coming out from our good Dalek friend. He's got a Big Finish release here, which is quite exciting, actually. So if you're fans of the Seventh Doctor story, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, like Gary and I are, you'll be pleased to hear that they're bringing back a character from that story. Mags, the werewolf or whatever. Was she? Well, she wasn't a werewolf, was she? But she did go a bit werewolfy. She's coming back and doing a big finish with the Seventh Doctor called The Monsters of Gokroth. And I'm just going to read you the little synopsis because actually this sounds really good. It says, the people of Gokroth live in fear of the monsters in the forest, creatures with scales and fur, teeth and claws. But worse than these, perhaps, is the strange doctor who does unspeakable, unholy work in the high castle on the mountain. The doctor who's about to receive a visit from an off-worlder, Mags, formerly of the Psychic Circus, a native of the planet Volpana. I think that's right. A monstrous secret on her own. So written by Matt Fitton and coming out in, when did we say it was? March, was
Sometime in April.
April?
Yeah.
So I guess this is normally they do a trilogy. I'm assuming it's a trilogy of Seventh Doctor stories. And but yeah, it's great to have Jessica Martin returning as Mags.
Very cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Big Finish are luring quite some great people to over to them at the minute, which is brilliant. So yeah, so there is another release after that, and I'm assuming so it looks like there's going to be a trilogy with Mags, which is very cool. Yeah,
very cool because her character was really good in Greatest Show.
Oh yeah, well I love that story anyway. Yeah, so I think I think I might have to get this. I'm really trying to scale down on the amount of Big Finish I buy
me too.
Because they've just released a Fifth Doctor trilogy featuring Chameleon. They brought Chameleon back, voiced by John Coleshaw, and I was like, I'm going to have to get those, but sadly I haven't because of money. But I might have to get these, I think. They do sound good. I love the synopsis for that as well. It sounds brilliant. Why is the Doctor lurking in a castle doing unspeakable work? I mean, what's going on?
Yes.
Look, Professor.
Yes. I know it's a bloody castle.
What are you doing in there, Professor? Yeah.
No, it's called the cover art for that story you mentioned, the Fifth Doctor one, Devil in the Mist with the Chameleon. The cover art's wicked for that. Will Brooks nailed that one. Looks awesome.
Yeah. I'd like to get them at some point. Mm-hmm.
Yes. It doesn't say who the cover art is for the Monsters of Gokroth is, but it does look very cool.
It does.
Yes. So there we go. Fill your ears with plenty of Big Finish.
Yeah, keep you going while you're waiting for Series 12.
Indeed. Right, merch done. Time for the review. What are we doing this week, buddy?
So, yeah, back to Sarah Jane Adventures. We're on Series 2 now, and this is the second story in that series, and it's called The Day of the Clown.
Boy, they have no idea what they're moving in over the road from.
Ronnie, my family just moved into Bannerman Road. These kids go missing, though. That is weird. And the police just don't have a clue.
Welcome to Spellman's Magical Museum of the Circus.
Mom, I think you have to tell her everything. I want to know the truth.
This is a Vorgut defense field, Anita.
Morning.
I'm going to find out what you are, Odd Bob. We're only scared of what we don't understand.
I will chill the blood of a nation. But millions will shudder, sleepless, with a bone-gnawing fear.
The Day of the Clown. Bloody clowns.
I know. They do get everywhere, don't they?
They do, in all the cracks. This was out in October of 2008.
Oh.
It was written by Phil Ford, directed by Michael Carrigan. Stars the usual Attic crew, minus Maria.
Yeah.
Jasmine Page, although she is in it as a little voice bit at the beginning on the phone.
That's right.
And is replaced by a new character, which we'll come on to. I think replaced is the right word, isn't it? It definitely feels like a replacement, yeah.
Yeah.
So Day of the Clown, it's one of those stories where it's not one of those big archy type of series stories. It's a really cool individual story where the really old myth or legend, if you like, of the Pied Piper sort of comes into present day. And it starts with a load of kids going missing from the high school that Luke and Clyde and so on attend. And Sarah Jane and those guys figure out that there's a a strange looking evil clown on the loose in the town. It starts off with Clyde and Rani noticing this weird clown. It turns out if you got a ticket for this new circus show, then you were targeted almost by this creepy clown. And they realise as they go through the story that a meteorite fell to Earth hundreds of years ago, or thousands of years ago, whatever. And the entity that was contained in the meteorite gained strength by feeding off people's fear, which it started doing off by the fear of rats in the town near where it landed, hence the Pied Piper legend. And then it grew into feeding off the fear of children, hence the clown representation and so on. And it's kind of, it feels like it almost feels like a bit of a mini reboot, this story, because the last Santaran we still had Maria and all that stuff going on, didn't we?
Yeah.
This one, it feels like there's a new family moved in opposite Sarah Jane's house, new headmaster in the school because it's her dad and so on. So it feels like not a reboot as such, but it just feels like a bit of a little mini reset where they establish like the new attic family, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Day of the Clown. Little two-parter. What do you reckon?
Yeah, so it's basically Sarah Jane meets Stephen King's It, isn't it?
Very much
for the most part.
Yeah,
definitely got some influence from that. So I thought this was a very nice little two-parter, actually. Didn't quite blow me away as some stories have so far that we've watched. I mean, I found it very enjoyable and I liked it. I think because of some of the themes in it, it felt a little bit unoriginal in terms of the clown. You know, when people see the clown and then someone walks in the room and he disappears and all the red balloons thing, which we've seen in it. So some of the ideas didn't feel that fresh in it, which I think slightly took away from the actual story. But as a piece of, sort of 2 25-minute segments of television, I was found it perfectly enjoyable. And I thought it was good, and it's a nice introduction for the new family as well. Nice introduction for the new character of Rani. Mm-hmm. Clyde kind of stole the show, I think, throughout this story. He's really good in this one, with all the humor and he gets to sort of do quite a lot in it. So, yeah, but overall it worked. I think it just could have been slightly better, I feel. Like, I mean, Bradley Walsh is so creepy as the clown. I think he could have been utilised a bit more over the two parts. If that's the only thing I would say. I kept thinking, he needs to do a bit more. He keeps popping up and being creepy, but he's not really doing anything. But yeah, but no, overall, I thought this is another solid two-part, mate. I enjoyed watching it. I don't think it was amazing, but I did think it was good. Cool. What did you think?
Cool, yeah. Before watching this one, because this is one of the Sarah Jane stories that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'd never seen it before.
And I think, I don't want to sound like a stuck record as we go through these, but I think from here on in, I haven't seen any Sarah Jane stories from this point onwards.
Okay, all right.
So, so going into it, I was quite excited because I'd heard really good things about it. And also it's written by Phil Ford, who's a cracking writer, in my opinion.
I must admit, it's when his name popped up at the start, I was like probably the same as you, thinking, Phil Ford, we're in safe hands here. He's normally very good, yeah.
Yes, yeah. He's wrote a bunch of stuff for Sarah Jane, but he wrote The Waters of Mars, which is you and I love that story. So
yeah.
And and I was quite excited going in for those two reasons. But at the end of it, I felt similar to you. I felt, that was a great story. And I really love watching the Sarah Jane Adventures. I sort of instantly fell in love with it in a way that I didn't think that I would do before we started doing the review. So I love watching it. It's really cool. But I just felt like they borrowed too much from Stephen King's It and put those elements in there. Because like you said, some of it was very unoriginal. So the whole premise, if you like, was there's a supernatural style clown that can disappear and all that stuff. And the two things that really made me think, oh, guys, come on, you should have tweaked it there. You should have changed your story. Just changed the narrative a bit there, is the balloon thing. Because that's just a symbolic thing from Stephen King's It. You've literally just borrowed straight from there. And then the other thing was how the clown was defeated. So because that's the whole thing. If anyone's seen Stephen King's It or read the book, That's the thing. The clown, it feeds off of the fear of children. And that's what they used here. It's exactly the same story mechanism, if you like.
Yeah.
And then it gets defeated in the same way that it's, the children, or the adults, they rise up against it and, and say that they're not scared of it anymore. So it begins to weaken and eventually die. And they did the same thing here with Clyde. He realizes that the clown's strong because of people are scared of it. So he turns it on its head and starts cracking jokes and starts laughing, like the opposite, So because of those two things, I did feel like, this could have been, a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Could have been. But because of those things, it's just, guys, I know it's difficult. It's difficult to, when you've created the idea of a creepy clown, there's only a couple of directions, I guess, you can go with it.
Yeah.
Because Sarah, we've spoken about this a few times before, because Sarah Jane is aimed at a younger audience, sometimes you can't go off on these mega twists and you can't go too crazy with the story because you're presenting it to children. So you kind of have to be a bit more direct. So I get it. I get you can't go too crazy with the story, but I don't know. I just felt like it was too much of a carbon copy. And because of that, it became quite predictable towards the end.
Yeah, I did have the same thoughts actually.
Yeah,
it just, and also it didn't seem to quite have enough storyline for the 2 episodes. I mean, they're only 25 minutes each, and it just seemed like the actual sort of idea behind the story wasn't enough to fill that quite. I mean, you had the introduction of the new family as well, which could have taken up a bit of screen time, which it did, but yeah, I think like you, I kind of thought, yeah, it's drifting along nicely, but there's not really a lot going on. The clown just keeps appearing and disappearing, which is something we've seen a 1,000 times in other TV shows and films as well. So I think like you, it was just a little bit too predictable, and it was a little bit too much stuff we've seen before on television and film. It's like, well, that's a bit unoriginal, really. So a bit like you. I mean, Phil Ford, he's a great writer, but I felt like he was a little bit, not let down by his writing, but it just wasn't quite up to his usual. It seemed a bit, like he'd taken too much from other stuff. It was just a bit play by numbers at times.
Yeah, no, Regis. So I think the as usual, the dialogue written for Sarah Jane was good. I think it was the overall story concept that just felt a little bit lazy writing for me.
Yeah,
a little bit lazy.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
I like the way the characters are introduced. This new family. I love the fact that Sarah Jane's like very much against having anyone else come in and join the attic crew, isn't she? After sort of Maria, she's like, we're not going through that again. They don't get involved. And I like all the scenes of her trying to, find out if Maria's left any little bits around the house as she goes over to meet the new neighbours, but she's actually really there to scan for any alien tech or anything that might have been left behind and all that. So those are nice little scenes and stuff. But then on the flip side of that, I also like the fact that Rani, rather than being this character that's sort of introduced to someone that's sort of wowed by it all and I didn't expect that, and alien, she's actually the opposite, isn't she? She's really wants to investigate, and she's sort of ahead of the game in that respect, whereas they're sort of trying to shield her and from all of it. She's actually more involved than they are, and I thought that was a nice little twist, rather than it being them introducing her, oh my god, it's aliens and massive computer and all that. She's actually like really already into all that stuff.
She's up for it. Yeah.
So I liked that. I thought that was a good little twist.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, we've kicked off with some negatives there, but it was a good watch. Don't get me wrong. It was a good, enjoyable.
It's an enjoyable watch. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And some things, like you said, with Sarah Jane being very cautious, she absolutely, this is our little crew and it's very dangerous. She's really worried about what could happen, because in a similar vein to the Doctor and the companions, really, the Doctor can only do so much to keep them safe, and inevitably sometimes they do end up biting the dust, So she feels that it's in a similar vein to that. She loves the companionship and the help and the little family almost nature of it, which is lovely. But she's very, she just knows what's out there, doesn't she? She knows what's, potentially bad that could really do a number on them. So I think that's a really nice way to set that relationship up where she's very friendly and everything's cool. And I think what you said earlier about Clyde stealing the show, I think sometimes Clyde can be a bit of although he's a cool guy, and he cracks the jokes and stuff, sometimes he's a crafty little bugger. Because he stirs the pot sometimes. Because he's the one that puts the idea in Sarah Jane's head that Maria might have left behind a bunch of alien stuff.
That's right, yeah.
So even though he doesn't know for sure, he's just sort of stirring the pot a little bit, isn't he?
I just really liked him in this because he's always sort of the joker of the pact, but they sort of used it in a good way in this story of they actually brought it into the storyline itself.
Yeah,
obviously that's how he defeats the clown at the end and stuff. So yeah, but there was some great little one-liners from Clyde in this, great little moments of humour that really land as well. That's the thing. Sometimes the humour in Doctor Who, for example, it just doesn't hit the mark. But because of his character and the way he plays it, it totally suits the story. And he was making me laugh all the way through, really.
Yeah, and it does, especially for younger viewers. If you were in primary school or sort of early high school and you were watching this, it does provide a little bit of, and I'm not saying in any way that if any of our younger listeners are in high school, whatever, that you should be the class clown, that you should just spend your day in school cracking jokes and messing around. I'm not saying that, but for any kids in high school that were a little bit of a joker and have a bit of a cheeky personality, it almost provided a little bit of validation to your personality, because Rani's dad, the new headmaster, is obviously completely strict, and just kicks the crap out of all of them as he comes into the classroom, and even the teacher. But Clyde's, he sort of sticks to his guns, doesn't he? He still cracks the odd joke and stuff.
Yeah.
But then as we get through the story, and especially after the ending, Clyde's really proud of himself, isn't he? Because he's almost saying in a roundabout way, look, even though I'm not a sort of an A-star student and you view me as a bit of a clown, I've actually saved the day because of my personality and my wisecracking. So it was in terms of that writing, it was a good way of sort of saying to kids, look, you don't have to be, heads down A-star boffin the entire time in your school career. If you do crack the odd joke, whatever, in some circumstances it can, benefit you in a way. So it was that sort of little rebellious, cheeky personality that makes his character, not seem unrelatable, if that makes sense. It's
yeah, I was going to say the way he's written and the way he plays it is just right on the line. It's just perfectly pitched as being like the cheeky chappy. He's not annoying or rude or disrespectful or bratty. Yeah, I mean, he's not. He's sort of on the cusp of that, but not. They just get it right, and I think in terms of the way he's written and the performance, it's just right. You don't sort of think, oh, Clyde's a bit of a little, what. But he's not. He's just that cheeky chappy, and he's very likable as well. And you can sort of tell he's got a good heart, isn't he? Sort of like you said, he underneath all the sort of silliness and bravado, he's actually a really likable character, isn't he?
Exactly, yeah. And like you said, he's not disrespectful.
No.
He's not one of those problem childs where he's, constantly in detention or is getting suspended, whatever. He's not that type of child. Or a young man, should I say. He's more of the, just that little cheekiness.
Cheeky chappy,
yeah.
Yeah. No. Did you figure out that because I was thinking it was probably really obvious, but when it was revealed that the headmaster was Rani's dad, I was a bit like, I didn't see that coming, but I probably should have done. Did you see it, Kate? Because I was surprised. I was like, oh, that's a good little twist. And I was thinking, I bet I'm the only one who didn't realise.
I don't want to be a show-off, but I did get that.
You did, yeah. Probably most people did, to be fair. But no, when he got out of the car and it's like, it's not your dad, is it? I was like, oh, it's her dad.
Yeah, the only reason I got that is because of the scene where they're in the classroom and he comes in. It's Rani's face that gives it away.
Oh, right, okay.
Every other kid in the class is sort of frozen on the spot with fear because the new strict headmaster is coming, but she's got a big grin on her face and almost kind of rolls her eyes a little bit.
Right.
So because she did that, I thought that's her dad. That's the new head is her dad, and she's like, "Oh, here we go."
Very obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think if you didn't, I think if you sort of breezed through that scene and focused on Clyde, then you probably wouldn't have got it. Because like for most of these two parts, really, Clyde's, like you said, he kind of steals the show a little bit, doesn't he? He's the guy, if you like.
Yeah, I think he comes, sort of saves the day, really, doesn't he, at the end? Yeah, with his cheekiness, it works very well, actually.
It does, yeah. What did you think to the overall setup of the story then? Because for most of the story, we don't know why the clown or Odd Bob, whatever you want to call him, we don't know why he's there doing what he's doing. So did you like the fact that, because a lot of the times in Doctor Who, they explain myths and legends as being aliens, don't they?
Yeah.
Like vampires of Venice. They're not vampires, they're aliens and so. So with this one, the killer clown isn't, because Rani hints that it's like a supernatural thing. It's like a more of a ghosty, paranormal type thing. Whereas they find out that, as is the case a lot of the times in Who or extended Who, that it's actually an alien that fell to Earth as part of this thing. And so what did you think to that? Because they could have gone down the paranormal, ghosty route. They could have stuck with that. But they decided to put more of a more of a sci-fi spin on it and say that it's an alien being.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about that, I suppose, is that he's sort of been resisting the pull of the rock, and Sarah Jane manages to break a bit off, doesn't she? And he eventually sort of has to go back into it or whatever.
Right.
So that, in terms of story-wise, I think that works quite well, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it being alien tech again. I think it's kind of expected, really.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was kind of, because there's a scene early on where Clyde is, again, it comes back to Clyde, doesn't it? I think there's a scene where he says something like, "Oh, this, we've seen aliens before," and all that stuff. So it does sort of hint that this is an alien of some sort, but we just don't get it proven, I suppose.
Straight away, yeah.
But it's funny when Sarah Jane goes to the something institute. What was it? The Pharos. Yeah. Pharos. She goes to the Pharos Institute and they just let her in. Right, yeah, we've got the meteorite. Conveniently, this meteorite is on loan.
Yeah, exactly.
To this institute and stuff, which is, you can kind of, skim over that, I suppose. It's but it's funny when the woman who shows Sarah Jane in and says, "Look, I wouldn't normally do this, so do your thing, but nothing's going to happen, is it?" And Sarah Jane's like, "No, you won't notice a difference." And then when she walks out, she just cuts a massive chunk off the corner. So I would have been like, yeah, I do notice a difference. There's a big corner missing.
See, this is the thing. These it's weird, isn't it? I can totally excuse these sort of things because of the sort of audience this show is aimed at. If it was in Doctor Who, we'd probably be picking that sort of thing to bits. We'd be like, "Oh yeah, the Doctor just walked in," but because it's aimed at a younger audience and it's done and written in such a fun way, it works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any problem with it. I wouldn't pick it to bits like I would if it was, in Doctor Who. Plus, we get to see Floella Benjamin again. I love Floella Benjamin. I mean, she can't act for toffee, bless her, but she's because she's someone I remember from my childhood. It's just lovely to see her pop up on screen. But she does, she's not the best actress, I'm afraid.
No, she's not great.
No, but she plays the Professor Rivers, and we saw her in a couple of episodes. It must have been last series, I guess.
Yeah, she was.
We've seen her before, haven't we? They've been to the Pharos place before, so she kind of already knows Sarah Jane.
Exactly, yeah. So I think Sarah Jane stopped the big story from getting out into the press. So whatever happened before. I can't remember what episode that was, but yeah, she was in series 1 somewhere.
And I don't mean to be rude about Floella Benjamin, because as I said, I love her because she's part of my childhood, but it's just her acting is a little bit OTT.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's for years of acting in very small children's TV
television.
shows.
Yeah, you can sort of see that coming through, but it doesn't bother me at all, actually. In some ways, it's quite charming. Yeah.
There was a couple of cool scenes where they're going through the whole investigative way of trying to figure out what the clown was and where he's from. You know, when they show Rani up into the attic and then Mr. Smith makes his entrance in the little...
Does he have to have that music every time? Can't he, like, first couple of episodes, but can't he just, anyway.
The little fanfare, yeah.
He does have a massive fanfare. I mean, God, if they ever have an emergency, he takes about 10 minutes to come out the wall. Come on, Mr. Smith, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Cut the music. Yeah.
So they have a cool scene with that, don't they, where they're trying to figure out all that stuff and they're using Mr. Smith and he's scanning stuff and all that lot. So I like scenes like that. It's really cool.
I love seeing that, yeah.
When you have them all round Mr. Smith in the attic and they're doing their thing and it's really cool. It's like, feels like a proper little club. And
I like the fact he gets all huffy. He's like, I haven't been introduced, I don't believe. And they're, sorry, this is the I keep saying the Rani as well. Why is she called Rani? I keep saying the Rani.
Well, obvious reasons, I suppose.
Yeah. But I like the fact Mr. Smith's like, is anyone going to introduce me? Because he is a personality, isn't he? I know he's voiced by Alexander Armstrong, but he does a great job of making that computer have an actual personality. A bit like K9, isn't it? Someone he's old Mr. Smith. You kind of like Mr. Smith, even though he's just a big old massive computer in a wall.
Yeah, and it's cool as well that Luke gives a tiny little explanation as well that he's a Zylok and all that stuff. Yeah. That was kind of cool. But no, I like those scenes, and then it all sort of culminates, doesn't it, with the showdown at the circus place, which actually just looks like a shop on a high street.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I thought that. A bit budget constraints there, I think.
Yeah. No more big tent near a quarry.
No. Well, the BBC blew that up. I'll tell you what does. The attic set looks so cozy. I'd love to just go to that set. Or I'd love to just, if it was a real place, just go to the attic, wouldn't you? Sort of got the windows and Mr. Smith in the wall and big old comfy sofa. Every time I see it, I'm like, I'd love to just spend a couple of hours in that attic.
It'd be really cool if you had a big old house like that.
Yeah.
With a proper attic, you would. Yeah, it's got a lovely just vibe about it, hasn't it? It's got like these old, like you said, these big old comfy sofas dotted around and the big screen, and there's alien tech just littered everywhere. And
it's right. I'm assuming K9's still in the wall fighting.
Probably, whatever
it is he's fighting, holding back that supernova or whatever he's doing. I keep waiting for him to pop up. I'm sure he must come into it again.
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I like it actually because it's again, when he does pop up, it's going to be like, oh, here he is. It's going to be a little treat, isn't it? Whereas if he was in it every week, it'd be really boring, I suppose.
That's true.
So a bit like we said about the Sonic, is kind of like it when it's just now and again. It's like, oh, there's the Sonic. It's going to be there's K9 when he does pop up, if he pops up.
I think he does. Yeah.
I'm sure he must.
The culmination and the showdown. Because it kind of comes in two forms. There's a bit where Sarah Jane goes to the circus initially, and that's when she first meets all three incarnations of the clown. So she sees him as Elijah Spellman, like the ring leader, circus leader, and then he morphs into the Pied Piper from the old legend style, and then he morphs into Odd Bob as well, and. So that was really cool. That was part of the creep. I mean, in terms of creepiness in the story, there are a couple of scenes where he's very, very creepy for a kid's TV show.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
There's a couple of bits early on where Clyde sees him in the mirror in the school, but doesn't see him, only sees him in a reflection, which is really creepy. And the bit in the woods at the beginning where the kid goes to get the football and sees him and his face comes up to the camera. And there was a bit where Sarah Jane goes there the first time and she sees all these other clowns and you think they're just, what's the word? Mannequins.
Mannequin, yeah.
And then she sees him and they come to life. That's already creepy. And then the second bit is when they go there towards the end, just before the kids go in there. And that's when Clyde and Rani turn up and Luke. And they have a bit of a showdown with him where Clyde obviously flips it around and weakens him with the jokes and laughter and so on. But those two scenes were fairly good, I thought. They couldn't do too much with budget. It's all in one or two rooms, really. And then the whole mirror scene was quite cool. But
that was quite cool, yeah, where Luke gets snatched and put in a mirror.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Those scenes I thought were pretty good. I did feel slightly anticlimactic, I suppose, when he does get defeated by the laughter. Because I was thinking it took a while. It was a bit of a slow burner, this, because they were trying to introduce the new family as well.
Yeah.
The sort of clown stuff, was sort of the sort of second half of it, really. So for me, it did, when he got defeated, I was a bit like, it didn't have that sort of, I don't know, it felt a little flat, just a little. I didn't sit there thinking, oh, that was bad, but it did feel a little, oh, is that it then, sort of thing? Because he was very creepy in the scenes, like you said, when he was being creepy, and the scene with where all the clowns come alive and were chasing them out of the circus was really cool. The end of episode 1. But I don't know. Just overall, that the ending just felt just a tiny bit flat for me. Found like he didn't, as I said, it felt like he didn't do enough. If you know what I mean, there's just scenes of him popping up and disappearing a lot, and then he got put back in the rock. And I just thought it was such a good character and so well played by Bradley Walsh. Maybe it's because it's a children's program. Maybe they could only go so far, I suppose. But
yeah,
would have been nice to see him do a bit more, I think.
No, so there was so Bradley Walsh did play those 3 characters really well, especially Odd Bob. I keep wanting to say Odd Job.
Yeah, Odd Bob.
But Odd Bob, because when he played Spellman, the circus leader, he did have a level of creepiness about that character.
Yeah,
just the way he was always really calm, but quite.
You see, that's
sinister.
the one I think I liked the best. Actually, I liked him when he was the ringleader.
Yeah. Really sort of sinister in a calm way. The Pied Piper only saw little flashes of that.
Yeah.
But when he was Odd Bob, he had this, because he did that accent so well and that creepy grin and stuff, that I found that really, really creepy. That was really Stephen. If there was anything that was sort of the most borrowed from Stephen King, it was that character.
Yeah.
Which was almost like, again, unfortunately, a bit of a carbon copy from Pennywise from It. But Bradley Walsh, however, played those parts, especially Spellman and Odd Bob, so well. Really just believably creepy.
He was very creepy. I mean, it was great to see him playing such a different role to Graham. Yeah. And, to see him, the only other thing I've seen him ever do was as a detective. So it was great to see him playing this evil, creepy villain. And he did it really well because, like you said, it's very easy to slip into pantomime evil, especially when you're dressed as a clown.
Of course.
Yeah. But his level of dread and, the sort of the looks and stuff he was giving was really good. Very sort of unnerving.
I've got one small criticism though.
What, of Bradley?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure it's him. It might have been a direction, but 95% of the time, he's always standing still. I would have liked to have seen him more animated, especially as Odd Bob.
Yeah.
Especially when he's playing Spellman. The whole time he's talking in those scenes, he's not moving at all. And
I think you might be onto something there. Maybe that's why I feel that we would have been nice to see him doing more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than obviously seeing him walking around earlier on in the story just for a split second before he vanishes, whenever he's talking, even towards the end, where Clyde and Rani are cracking the jokes and stuff, he's not really trying to get away. He's not trying to attack them or anything. He's just literally standing on the spot. So I'd have liked to have seen him be more mobile and animated and that sort of thing. But other than that, I thought Bradley Walsh played him really, really well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do see what you mean by that.
Yeah. And then he gets encapsulated into the meteorite, and then that's another little piece of merch for Sarah Jane to put on the shelf.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. It would be cool to look at all of the alien stuff that's just littered around the attic.
Loads up there, yeah.
Really. And it's also cool is the stuff up on the wall. You have to kind of look out for it, but I'm sure there's like little continuity pieces up on the wall.
Oh, there is.
There must
definitely
be loads.
Yeah.
So, the Day of the Clown. Let's speak about some characters before we get on to scores. We've spoken about Rani's dad, the head, already.
I mean, he was okay, wasn't he? He was
just played the typical strict headmaster fairly flat, really. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, he played it in a way that you'd expect a strict headmaster to be.
The thing is, I mean, I've got to try hard not to compare because I really liked Maria and her dad. I thought they're sort of. I grew to really like those two. So obviously, like you said, for want of a better word, this is the replacement family, and I'm trying not to compare the two because they're totally different. But I was sort of thinking, so far, I've not warmed to him yet. I'm sure I will, but so far he's a bit stuffy and strict and like a headmaster should be. But he's not sort of likable like Maria's dad was, is he? Yet.
Not yet. And I think that's because the majority of times that we've seen him, he's either been in school, so he has to give off this because he feels like the standards have dropped in the school. So he has to be this strict sort of headmaster. And the other times when we've seen him at home, it's when Luke and Clyde have been around. And I don't think he wants to drop his guards, so to speak, around them because he has to sort of, kick their bottoms a little bit when they're in school. But no, I think, and there were a couple of little times where he almost cracked a smile and a little grin.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we'll get to see another side of him. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then Rani's mum then, by Mina Anwar, she was, I feel like she's played this character a couple of times now in different things.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, definitely.
I just feel like she's not typecast, but I feel like we've seen this side of Mina in some other things as well.
No, I felt exactly the same. I was thinking, I don't know what else I've seen her in, but it feels like she's playing exactly the same character that she always does, which is very likable, especially when I loved it when she kept calling Sarah Jane Sarah, and Sarah Jane's like, Jane, and she just wouldn't say the whole name. Well, that was quite a nice little touch. She's a little over the top. I'm hoping she'll settle down. Her acting was a bit OTT, wasn't it? And like you said, very much playing the same character she always seems to play. That sort of bubbly, hello there. So, I think she could be good, but she's a little bit OTT in this first episode, I thought.
A little bit.
Yeah, but I did enjoy the scenes with her and Sarah Jane. They were fun.
They were cool, yeah.
Yeah.
What about, so we had a tiny little cameo from Maria at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that just turns Luke into a bloody wet blanket for the whole story.
He does turn into a bit of a wet blanket, doesn't he, in this, actually? That's why I think Clyde takes the lead, because Luke does seem to mope around a lot. And, Clyde gets a great line about Heat magazine as well at one point. I can't remember what he's on about. He says something about Johnny Depp. Oh, no, actually, no, sorry, Luke says that, doesn't he? It's not Clyde, it's Luke. Yeah. So, Luke does get a great line. Towards the end when he says about Johnny Depp, and he says, I read it in a encyclopedia called Heat or something like that. But anyway, but apart from that, he doesn't really get a lot to do, does he?
No, he doesn't have like in some of the other Series 1 stories especially, he kind of saves the day a few times with his insane intellect. But in this one he's just a bit of a moper because Maria's not around anymore and he misses her, and
then he gets trapped in a mirror and let me out.
So he's a bit of Luke's really cool. I mean,
I like
Tommy
Luke,
Knight. He's very cool.
He didn't shine in this episode like Clyde did.
No. We've spoken about Professor Rivers, Floella Benjamin. Okay, let's talk about the new girl on the block then.
Yeah, Rani.
Won't beat around the bush. She does come across as a direct replacement for Maria. But as you said, the family are very different, so it isn't a sort of one-for-one swap. They do something quite different with those guys, where Maria was very, wow, this is amazing, I can't believe it. Whereas Rani, like you said, she's very much, I'm into, I think she actually says it in episode 1. She says, I'm into weird,
Yeah, that's right.
That stuff. So when she finds out that it could potentially be alien threat and all that, she's really up for it and she wants to know the truth. And so I really like her character so far. I think she's not got an annoying nosiness to her, but her intrigue, and she wants to, because her character's kind of spoiled, isn't it, by her mum. When she's talking to Sarah Jane, she's like, oh, my Rani, she doesn't want to be sidelined and she wants to know everything. And so her character kind of is a bit of a spoiler's dropped early on as to what she's like. So unfortunately, we don't get to discover what she's like naturally just by watching her character. However, I do quite like her. She's got a likability, and she seems to have slotted into the Attic family, if you like, quite nicely.
Oh, I would say that, definitely. obviously being written as a strong character, which I like. She's, like you said, she's ready to get stuck right in. She's not going to be scared by alien tech. She's, in fact, if anything, she wants to know as much about it as possible. So I like that. She's coming across as a very strong character, fitted in very nicely with the Attic team. Lovely scene between her and Sarah Jane about halfway through, looking at the stars. And I thought, because Sarah Jane obviously doesn't want anyone else joining the group at the start, but she very quickly warms towards Rani. And also she handles some of the humour well, like when their mum, she's got like a defence beam, isn't she? And her mum walks in and it sort of nearly knocks her out. She's like, oh, quick, turn it off. So there were some nice scenes like that. So yeah, only one episode in, but I'm already liking Rani and think she's going to be a good part of this Attic team.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Spoken about Clyde, spoken about Luke. Sarah Jane then.
Sarah Jane, I thought she was particular. I mean, she's always good, but I thought she was very, very good in this story in terms of the sort of emotional side of the acting that we got from her, the sort of fear of having another kid join her gang and the danger that might bring, and dealing with the humorous side of it as well when she's checking out the house. I just thought everything she did was really good, and she did look proper terrified of Bradley Walsh as well. I think. When people say, oh, I'm scared of clowns. So again, it's very easy to go OTT with your acting. Oh, it's a clown. Yeah. But she did it all with her face rather than like screaming or going hysterical. And she did look proper scared of Bradley. Maybe she was scared of clowns. I don't know. But everything she just did in this episode seemed to be on point, whether she was doing humor, doing serious, doing emotional. She just hit the mark. Absolutely spot on in her performance. So I thought she was really good in this one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. She's definitely got the acting chops, hasn't she, Liz Sladen?
Well, she's really strong as well. Like, the scenes when she walks into the professor, Floella Benjamin, she's chatting to her and Floella's sort of reading off the lines. But Liz is just very sort of straight to the point. Yeah, don't worry about it. And it's, it's a very natural acting that we get from her.
Yeah.
In terms of her performance, but yeah, just really, really good. I love her on screen, even like, so she gets the old Sonic lipstick out and it doesn't annoy me like the Sonic because she doesn't get it out every 2 minutes. She uses it and she's stuck into the action, and the next minute she's doing an emotional scene with Rani, and she's just so good on screen. I just love her.
She is very good.
Yeah.
And consistent as well.
Absolutely consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really, and I would, one thing I noted down is that she genuinely looked terrified in some of those scenes with the clowns.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. It made me wonder if she actually genuinely hated clowns. I think she really does look scared.
They definitely played it up with her character because they had a couple of little flashbacks, didn't they? Where she was a little nipper and the little clown hanging on her wardrobe. And
that's right.
Yeah. So I was still confused by that. I'm not sure if that clown actually did sort of animate itself during the thunderstorm, or if it was just her mind sort of playing tricks on her. They never.
No, it's kind of didn't really explain it, but I kind of like that. It's left up to your own imagination.
Yeah, really. It's not a bad thing. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to mention, mate, before we get some scores down?
Just looking at my list. No, I think pretty much covered it actually.
Right, it's you to go first.
Yeah, me to go first. So I thought this was good, and another sort of solid two-part. Not my favourite that we've had so far. So I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10, which is just decent. It wasn't. I don't think it was brilliant. I know a lot of people love this one, and I do wonder if I went into it with slightly high expectations, maybe because the trailer looked brilliant as well, and I was expecting slightly better. Maybe, but I did really enjoy it anyway. So 7 out of 10 for me. Well, what about you?
Yeah, cool. I'm going to match you on that, mate, with a 7.
Yeah.
Initially, I was thinking it was probably an 8. But then when I read through my notes and as we've spoken about it, I just can't get past the fact that it's almost a carbon copy of Stephen King's It. So if they'd have done something it just tweaked the story a little bit so it didn't copy so much, then it probably would have been scored higher. But yeah, it was just because it was unoriginal in its story elements, really.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, yeah.
But a good watch nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely a fun watch, yeah.
Right, what did our listeners think? We had a couple of audio clips in. Let's kick off with Sammy from Down Under.
G'day. Hey, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, the Day of the Clown. That Bradley Walsh is very good at being scary. Mr. Spellman / Oddball / Pied Piper or whatever else he was is really creepy. Poor Sarah Jane. Childhood traumas coming back to life is not pleasant. I really enjoyed this one. The whole morphing from one aspect of the clown alien entity to another was really well done. Laughter conquers fear. Nice one, Clyde. I give it 9 scary clowns out of 10. See ya.
9.
High score, yeah. Nice one, Clyde.
Cool, yep. Second audio review. This is Lewis Palmer.
Hello to the Booby Box podcast. Happy 2019. I haven't sent in an audio review in months, but I thought I would for this one because The Day of the Clown is an incredibly special story for me. I remember vividly watching this, having seen most of the first series and really enjoying it, and watching this and being put off the show forever, and I didn't go back to it until years later because it terrified me. I had nightmares for years about this. I saw a clown at my window staring into me at school for just years after this. And now that I'm sort of... It sort of gave me my fear of clowns, to be honest. Now that I'm sort of out of that, it's I appreciate it. Just such a great episode. It's so scary. Bradley Walsh is amazing in it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful episode. And just... It shows how amazing Sarah Jane is. As a series, it's just great. So yeah, terrifying, but yeah, thanks guys.
Pretty creeped out is Lewis.
Yeah, I was kept thinking as well, if I was of a certain age when I was watching this, I think I would have absolutely loved it as well. And as I said, I did enjoy it, but I think, the age group this is sort of aimed at would absolutely love this episode. It would creep the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And, they wouldn't be sat there thinking like me and you, oh, this is a carbon copy of it, because they may not be even old enough to have watched it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I can absolutely get why someone of a certain age, a young age, would adore this episode. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely, mate. Yeah. Thank you guys for sending in your audio clips. We had a bunch of you guys sending stuff over on Twitter and Facebook. Let's breeze through a few of these, see what you guys thought over on Twitter. Our writer Jordan Shortman says, I quite like Day of the Clown. I'm terrified of clowns, so this one has always stuck in my mind. I remember Bradley Walsh being great in it, and it is a strong introduction to Rani, my favourite member of the gang. Overall enjoyable story that gets forgotten due to other tales.
Favourite member, eh?
Yes. Dayskin says... said it months ago, in this episode, we have basically the same team as Series 11.
Mm-hmm.
And though it wasn't the most epic season, the cast wasn't the problem. Sarah Jane Adventures proves that a female lead works too. Bradley makes a creepy clown, and for me, Rani is more interesting than Maria.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I can't judge yet on one episode, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, yes. Morgan, our good friend Morgan, says, it's brilliant. Rani proves herself as one of the gang almost immediately, and the story shows off Bradder's versatile acting abilities. The plot seems to be based off of It by Stephen King, but still manages to feel fresh. Odd Bob is bloody terrifying here too. 7.2. 7.2 red balloons out of 10.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Cool.
Who else? The Who Society says, one of the most favourite SJA episodes. Bradley Walsh was phenomenal with all the characters he played. Liz Sladen also really stood out in this episode, maybe a bit cheesy at times. The music is on point. Always remember getting really freaked out by this episode. 9 out of 10.
Cool.
Daniel Fox, not only my all-time favourite SJA story by a long shot, it has also kept a key part of my childhood that got me into Who. Although I don't get scared by much, Bradley Walsh's Odd Bob absolutely terrified me as a nipper. 10 out of 10. Adam,
10 out of 10.
Our good friend Adam Starman. A solid two-parter in what I'd say is a solid season of SJA on here. My introduction to the brilliant Bradley Walsh and Liz Sladen gives a truly excellent performance throughout. Can't wait for Bradder's third studio album. Jake Birtwhistle, brilliant episode that used to terrify me. Great introduction to Rani, great acting all round. 9 out of 10. The Whoniverse. I don't remember this one well, but I can remember being incredibly creeped out by the clown, and Bradley does a great job being menacing. Sarah, the running Whovian, brilliant, playing on two very real fears of clowns and lost children in a genius storyline, and the music enhanced the scariness perfectly. Great performances from all involved, and particularly love to see Bradley Walsh delivering a great character. 9.5.
Oh.
And Lou Gallagher says, ruddy brilliance. Amazing performances from all, the highlight being Bradley Walsh, who perhaps is more highlighted now with Series 11. Clyde, my favourite, also really starts to come into his own, and Rani makes a good impression. 8.5.
Ooh.
That's it for Twitter. Let's have a few picked out from Facebook. Dean Jones, fantastic story, 9 out of 10. Joseph Howarth, it's weird to think that Bradley Walsh would later become Graham in the main show. Funny how life works out.
Yeah.
Goes on to say, definitely acts his socks off in this one as Odd Bob. And I did like the little Easter egg of one of the clowns from the Celestial Toy Maker.
Oh, yeah, I spotted that on the laptop.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought that was a nice little inclusion. Blinking, you'd miss it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's kind of cool. He gives it a 9 out of 10. Carl Elwell says, I think any of the mainstream media channels should seriously think about giving Bradley Walsh a leading role. As I believe he has a huge range of acting abilities here. He can clearly act and is menacing. His clown is absolutely freaky. My wife, Natasha Aylott, says, why is it always clowns?
Clowns. They are creepy, aren't they?
They are creepy, yes.
Yeah.
Daniel Hickey says, never watched Sarah Jane, but have ordered the box set now. We'll miss this one, but ready to review the other ones. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. You've convinced me to watch.
Oh, excellent. Good stuff.
You won't be disappointed, Daniel.
No.
Miles McKenzie, a great story. Really like the intro to Rani. The characters all round just mixed so well. Bradley Walsh was amazing. Really great performance. All the cast are brilliant. One of my favourites from Sarah Jane, 9 out of 10.
Nice.
There we go. I can't remember if we decided pre-Christmas or New Year, whatever, but did you put stuff out on your Geeks Handbag channel if you can?
No, no, because I figured we were getting so much on the podcast stuff now. I thought, no, otherwise we'd be doing about an hour of listeners' feedback, which is great, but no, so I didn't.
No worries.
No.
Adam's channel does get swamped from time to time, especially when we do like the newer Doctor Who as well. I think we had like 40 odd comments.
Oh man, Series 11 has been crazy.
Yeah, crazy. So thank you so much, guys, for sending in your audio clips and tweets and Facebook messages and stuff. It's very much appreciated. The Day of the Clown.
Day of the Clown, yeah. I'm glad that person reminded me about the cameo, the picture from the Celestial Toy Maker as well, because I wrote that down and forgot to mention it. Yeah, I thought it was a lovely little nugget.
A little nugget.
Little Easter egg in there, yeah.
Okay, next week, it's diving back into classic Doctor Who.
Classic, yeah.
So what have we got to review next week, buddy?
Next week, so this has been on the radar for a while, actually. It's about time we got round to doing this one. It will be the 4th Doctor story, Genesis of the Daleks, next week.
Yay.
Yes, bit of Tom.
Yes, we've been asked to do this one for so long, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
I'd
for
say
ages.
Yeah, I'd probably say once every month, on average, we get some kind of tweet or Facebook message to say, have you guys done Genesis of the Daleks yet? Or if not, you should do it.
Yeah.
So,
I remember when we saw it at the BFI as well, we're like, yeah, we must do that one.
Yeah.
So
next
we are
week,
doing it.
Genesis, yes. Genesis of the Daleks.
Genesis of the Daleks, yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, get that watched, because as always, we'll be asking for your thoughts and mini reviews on that. So, yeah, we need you to watch it first. I think we'll do that, buddy, for 216.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sticking with us for episode 216 and sending in your reviews and thoughts, etc. for the Day of the Clown. Very much appreciated. Next week, Genesis of the Daleks. Looking forward to your thoughts on that one. It's generally viewed as one of the best in Classic Who. However, I know that there are people out there who have got some feelings on it that counter that view. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with that. In the meantime, though, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of the shows on there. Plus, there are buttons to link off to the various podcast networks so that you can subscribe to the show and never miss it when it lands every Friday. There are also buttons on there to nip off to the social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. We chat plenty of Who during the week. Also, check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah.
Head over to YouTube, do a search for The Geek's Handbag, give Adam a sub, drop a load of likes on his videos, some really cool stuff there. And you're also on the usual socials as well under the same name, The Geek's Handbag.
That's it.
As I said, we chat plenty of Who during the week, so give us a like and a follow and get stuck in. Really cool community around the podcast. Loads of chat. It's very, very cool. We will see you next week. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,